Hey guys, I guess this might be my most exciting interview yet because I am joined by, well, I've described other people on this podcast as legends before, but this is the one who might actually be a legend one day. So this is my hero, my mentor, and I hope more than an acquaintance, a good friend, Ross A. Grant.
Thanks for covering for me last Friday. Date went poorly though, so I'm still yours. See ya.
Bobby, absolutely.
I don't know why I put the middle name in there, sorry.
Well, that's because my Twitter handle and everything is always Ross
right.
A. Grant, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
But it's fine. It stands for Andrew. It's just because I couldn't get Ross Grant because someone else must have already had it on Twitter when I registered about what 8 years ago or something like that. So I had to just have Ross A. Grant, and now I've got that on everything. So yeah, that's what I have. But thanks for having me, mate. I was just saying, I normally spend my entire life begging people to be on shows that I do. So I thought I better say yes to Bobby. You've been around what I do a long time, so it's good to be here.
Yeah, and I can even remember the first time that I saw you, because I think I just kind of got randomly added to the Act on This group by I can probably check to see who added me, but it was like 2016, and obviously I was not in the industry. I'd taken a few classes and I wanted to be an actor, but like had no clue about anything. So I was added to this group, and I just kind of saw like a few of your videos. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I'll be honest, I didn't do anything with it for months. And I think I remember the thing that inspired me to kind of action was it's a meme. I don't know if you've seen it, where it's like a graphic of a man trapped down a hole and him standing on top of a pile of ladders, and it says like you can have all the resources you want, but you need to use them properly. And I think that was the thing, is like this seems like something I should take more take more action on. So obviously anyone who knows me well probably has heard me talk about you multiple times, but for those who don't know, then why don't you just like explain who you are and what you're about?
It's so funny because literally that's just like what I'm normally asking everybody else. When it's thrown back at you, you're like, oh my God, where do I start?
Well, here's the thing before you start, right? I think people have been complimenting me on how I conduct the interviews, and I just realized I'm just copying what Ross does. So there's a justification for that.
And I'm only copying what other people do, mate. So, everything's a remix, isn't it? I don't think anything's truly original. So we're all learning from each other. So yeah, me. Okay, so nowadays in 2020, so I'm an actor. I'm a voiceover artist as well. I do a lot of voiceover for TV adverts, radio adverts, cartoons. Got into animation a lot recently.
So here's the problem. There's no straight route between Tinpo Town and Awesomeland.
But I graduated from the Manchester Metropolitan School of Theatre in 2005. That was a 3-year acting degree. Supposed to be one of the most prestigious sort of, drama schools in the country. And I quickly learned that even though it was, and it had taught me how to act, I knew absolutely nothing, Bobby, about the business of the acting industry, ultimately how to turn, that acting ability into work. So I spent the first 4 years, I think, probably was till about 2009, just getting everything wrong, mate, getting literally everything wrong. I didn't understand really, agents, how they worked, who the good ones were. I had no idea who casting directors were and how, you got in touch with them and how you got in front of them, how you get auditions from them, basically, what you have to do to get in the room with them, to get an audition, to book a job. I literally had no clue. And I just was basically banging my head against a brick wall for kind of 4 or 5 years until I decided that I was going to start working for a casting director. I thought, what better way to actually learn about the industry properly than actually, being on the other side for a little bit. So I started working for a casting director in Manchester called Beverly Keogh. Cut a long story short, I just learned an absolute ton in 2 years, decided that I should put this online for other actors because I could save them the 5 years that I'd spent after drama school getting it all wrong. Created a little site called actonthis.tv. No one cared about it for a long time. It was basically me sitting down with people way back in the day, though. We couldn't, Zoom wasn't even a thing. I was literally getting on the phone, Bobby, and, phoning people up, and we were recording phone calls, with directors and people that I was working with in the industry. Because by that point, I had started working because I'd learned so much in casting. And then, fast forward to sort of 2018, 2019, the site had been around about 8 years, 9 years, started getting a load of traction. Lots more people came to the, came into the community. You said you joined in like 2016, so you'd been around a little bit.
Properly 2017 is when I really started giving it a go, yeah. So
yeah, 2016, 2017. And now, after 10 years of hustle and perseverance, it's turned into, you know, what I'm super proud of in terms of probably, I would say, I'm obviously biased, as like probably the number one acting, you know, knowledge platform, like resource for the business of the business. If you want to learn about the business, you know, it's turned into what is, you know, without a doubt the most popular kind of platform online at the moment. I sit down every week now with a top actor, top casting director, agent, writer, producer, director, and we have awesome chats like this that you get involved in because you are still part of it all, and you join us on a Tuesday or a Thursday night, and you know, we ultimately just sort of like cut through all the BS that's in the industry and learn what it really takes to have success. So that's me on a business side in terms of sort of what I do. I mean, what else do you want to know about? I mean, what else? I'm addicted to coffee. That's a massive part of my life. I'm an absolute geek when it comes to technology. I love building websites and just online businesses in general. I'm obsessed with mindset because I believe that mindset is everything in terms of it's the foundation of everybody's success. Just in everything, forget acting, just like literally in life. If your mental game isn't right, you know, if your head's not right, you're not on top of your belief system, you know, and ultimately creating empowering beliefs for yourself, you never take the action. Like you said about, you know, it took you a while to take action. I believe people don't take action until, you know, sort of like their head is in the right place. So I'm huge on that and how people can do that. And what else, mate? What else?
That's okay. I can share, like, I could sympathize with you in that because I think obviously, you know, once I started taking your stuff seriously and like signing up and like listening to everything you were putting out, and I haven't listened to everything, but you know, a lot of things, you know, and obviously it's like and it works, you know, you start getting the success, and like it was like it was for my first audition, you know, it was 6 months of nothing, and then suddenly just like boom, like loads of things at once, and then everyone else sees you getting success, and they're just like, okay, they think that you have some kind of secret, like, you know, do you have some kind of like hidden kind of treasure trove where you're just finding castings? And
it can feel like that though to you as well though, like when you get your head around this, like it can almost feel like when you, especially when, you know, your mindset's in the right place and you are taking the action congruent with the result you want. I feel, don't know how you felt at times, but I genuinely have felt like almost like I've hacked this system, almost kind of like you do feel really empowered, and other people like how you're doing that. And it is quite basic in terms of what you're doing, but so few people actually get to the point where they do take enough action and specific action and consistent action to get the thing that they want, man. So I agree with you completely.
oh yeah, and I just found myself getting nostalgic for, like, remember in 2017 you did the periscopes every Monday and every Wednesday, and like that was always like, that was pretty much like the highlight of my week at first, because again I had no social life early 2017. Like I was was doing a job where I was like, I basically had to do 12-hour days, you know, like a normal 8-hour day in the office, but then it was really far away from me, so it was like 2 hours of travel in the morning and to get there and then back home. So it was like, that was pretty much what I was. So by the time I got home, I pretty much had no time. I had no time to do anything, so I would just sit and listen to your stuff, and that was always a highlight, because there was like always the people like joining in, chatting, and I remember that's how I got to know Stephen Goodwaney. And
shout out to you, Steve Goodwaney, if you're watching.
I'm not lanky. Above average.
His Mankjesty, I call him. His Mankjesty, because I say he's the most stereotypically Manchester person I know. And I just remember he would just always be like, you know, throwing, you know, like these witty one-liners in there, and I wish I could remember them all. But I remember I once asked you, okay, who do you think is the lesser of two evils, me or him? Because there was one time I got you during the broadcast, and it's one of my proudest moments to this day.
I think I might be able to remember it. I'm sure it was a comment about, I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure it was.
Oh, I'm going to tell you the story anyway, so... So Ross was reading from a self-help book, and the book was actually very helpful, you know. I did take something from it besides making Ross lose his shit laughing, but...
that, you know, we had a book club. We should bring that back. We don't do that anymore. Every other week I read, because this is the thing, everybody, right? Because like you know what we said so far about people taking action, I was like, right, no one is taking enough action, right? And I'm telling you to read these books that are really helpful, and then they're still not reading them. So I'm like, right, you know what, if you get online on a Monday night, just turn on Periscope, that's Twitter's video app. I'll even read you the freaking book live, like, so you don't even have to do anything but turn up. So so what book was it, can you remember?
I can't remember what it was, but the thing was not listening to your inner chatterbox, the voice in your head that tells you can't do this or that or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, Chatterbox is the name of a very bad film from the 70s. Well, we won't dance around the topic. It's about a woman with a talking vagina.
Chatterbox is also a movie about a woman with a... Oh, okay. Interesting, Bobby. I didn't know that. Okay, but thanks for that. If people want to know what Bobby just said, just Google Chatterbox movie, and I'm sure you'll find out exactly what he just said.
Anytime you had to read from the book and you had to say the word Chatterbox, you were like, oh, you put something in my head now. So I was like,
her Chatterbox. You've put an image in my head now, Bobby. I can't listen to this properly, or listen to my negative Chatterbox. It's so I keep saying Chatterbox. Bobby, you're a bad man.
That is going to be my living legacy.
Trolling me on Periscope. But yeah, we should bring those back. They were good. And little plug, if you want to go and watch any of those, still do them on a Monday Night Live. We don't do book club anymore.
And the replays are all still on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, act on youtube.com/Act On This TV. Go check them out. There's millions on there, and they've not got nearly enough views. So go and watch them.
Oh, and there was also because it was pretty kind of quick out of the gate for me, like once I joined your stuff and things started happening for me, and then it came up the time for a bulletproof actor, and I can remember kind of thinking I was considering at the time because obviously I was pretty much broke for most of 2017, so the cost was kind of making me worry a bit, and I was thinking, okay, I'm getting some stuff, so maybe I can get by just kind of like doing this for now, but then I kind of going in my head, no, okay, you've started the process, you have to do more, and then once you've done more, you'll have this breakthrough. And so I was like kind of pretty much spent all I had on doing the bulletproof actor training. So for those who wouldn't know, why don't you explain what that was?
So again, like I said before, I'm literally I got, well, I'll go right back actually, give you a little bit more context into this as well. So in 2006, I had a pretty just rough year myself when it came to my own mindset. So like I said, I graduated from the Manchester Metropolitan School of Theatre. We're supposed to now be totally ready to take on this industry. And, I thought, as you do, you're young, you're naive, and you're like, right, I'm ready now. I mean, I'm still young, absolutely, but even then younger. And you're like, right, the industry is going to open its arms to me. I'm going to get discovered. It won't be long till I'm working, as a regular in one of these shows or whatever. And then that kind of like doesn't happen. And you still find that you're working for minimum wage in a toy shop. And then in 2006, yeah, I just had a really bad year, man. My dad died like just out of the blue. He's had a heart attack. I was here one day, total shock, gone the next. There's an eye condition that runs in my family. My mum's got it. It's took her sight now, so my mum's blind. It's taking my sight. It's a genetic, like hereditary, degenerative retinal condition. So it basically just robs you of your vision across your life. So my vision's not great at the moment. It's never going to be better than it is now, though, because at the moment it's only going to get worse. There's no cure for it. Fingers crossed there might be eventually, but basically it takes your peripheral vision from the outside in till you're left with in sort of like your 50s, kind of like looking through two straws, people describe it as. So all you just got your central vision, all of your peripheral vision is gone, and then eventually it takes that as well. So my mum lost her sight like pretty much completely at 60. I'm 37. Fingers crossed, there'll be something that could be done before then, but it's something that I'm kind of used to. I've kind of accepted to a certain degree. I think there's still part of me that's like doesn't believe that it'll ever happen. That I'm optimistic, Bobby. I'm like, there's got to be a cure at some point.
Have you ever heard of something called sweet and sour grapes? It's basically it's kind of a sort of weird phenomenon where it's like you set your mind as right, I don't need this, it's like if this doesn't happen, I'm fine, and then it happens. It's like the second you decide you don't need something is when you get it or something. It's like it's like you just it's like you say, oh yeah, I'm not, like people who try too hard to find the one, or like make a love connection, and maybe they come across as too desperate or whatever, and so they kind of like chase it from their mind and just like they focus on other things, and that's when it happens.
Okay. Well, I'm just sort of like, I'll just resign myself to going, just don't even worry about that, because that's just, way too far in the future. But 2006, so I basically, lost my dad. I found out I had this. I was left then, literally, it was a gift though, the last thing my dad ever said to me was, you look after your mum. Literally the last thing, that's all he said to me. I then was left kind of going, shit, like, my mum can't work. I'm supposed to be an actor. I'm supposed to look after her. and I'm not working. I'm still getting paid £5.75 in a shop in the Trafford Centre. What am I going to do? So I serendipitously, again, some things just like appear when you need them, don't they? I think, like you were just saying, sometimes you're not even focusing on them and things just happen. I walk into work one day, and I'd been running away from my life that
I
weekend.
love this story. I think
sure
I
I
know
would.
what this is.
I'm sure I was hungover. I had a cheese sandwich hanging out of my mouth from Superdrug, and I walk into game, and I walk into the staff room, and there's a guy there who is putting on a Nintendo t-shirt. So he's basically got his top off. He's putting on a Nintendo t-shirt because he was there for one day to just promote the Nintendo DS back in the day. If anyone remembers the Nintendo DS console with like Nintendogs. And he was ripped to shit, mate. He was, just like a sports model-esque kind of body. And I'm there walking in, hungover with a cheese sandwich hanging out my mouth. And I'm like, right, my life's not really going very well. How do I get into that kind of shape? And cut a long story short, we end up sort of spending 40 minutes over lunch. He is a mindset coach, and he's also a physical coach as well. So he gets people into shape. He did me a plan, a 6-week plan. It cost me £500. That was more or less my month's wages back then. But I was like, something in my life has got to change because I'm going nowhere. And that program instilled a lot of mindset, sort of, reframing, a huge paradigm shift in the way I looked at setting goals. Achieving goals. Obviously in the gym, it's a bit easier than in real life because your goals are very tangible. It's like, I want to lift more weight next week, and then more weight or whatever. And then you can see the results physically. But ultimately it put me in a place over 6 weeks where I completely changed my outlook just on life, mate, to be honest with you. And I thought, you know what, this all begins obviously with your mindset. And then within 6 months, I'd started applying the same goal setting techniques that I'd used in the gym into my life, into my acting career. And within that year, I'd left that shop. I'd had my first 2 roles on TV. They weren't big. One was like 5 lines in Emmerdale. One was a pretty decent part in a show called Accused with Peter Capaldi, who went on to be Doctor Who, and Juliet Stevenson. And I'd left that shop and I signed with an agent. And I was like, right, I'm all in on this now. I'm just basically going all in on my acting career. I'm not focusing on this 30-hour a week, 40-hour a week job that was supposed to be part-time that I hate and don't want to do. And it just made me realize the power of actually sort of like, getting your mental game right, getting on top of things mentally just changes the way that you show up in the world completely. It changes the way you act. It changes the way people react to you and respond to you. And things just changed very, very quickly for me. So I became obsessed with that for probably, that would have been, when was that? Sort of like
2007 maybe?
Around about 7, 8. Yeah, I became obsessed with that. And about 4 years, 5 years later, maybe, I had really sort of nailed this area of my life around mindset and physicality as well. I'd kind of, I'd stopped going in the pub. I'd started running marathons for charity, slightly selfishly to raise money for the charities that can maybe cure my eye condition one day. And it changed my life, mate. Honestly, it just absolutely changed my life. And I would go out and have coffees with people, and I would see that I could tell instantly that they were in the place I used to be in, like, 5, 6 years ago. So I would kind of spend an hour with them, coaching them, 2 hours with them, coaching them. And then they would leave, the Costa Coffee or Starbucks, wherever we'd been, absolutely buzzing with a completely new lease of life and ready to go and actually start, making a difference in their own life. And I would get messages afterwards, when I'd left, like half an hour later, going, mate, you're like, what you've just taught me, is amazing. You should put this into a program. You need to teach other people this. They should teach this in schools. And this is also, I just want to say, this isn't stuff that I was creating or making up, or sort of like I was coming up with. These are tried and true, sort of, a formula almost just for success that has been around hundreds of years. It was the same thing, that, Henry Ford was using, that Thomas Edison was using, the same kind of principles around solving problems ultimately and getting results. So it was just the way that I guess, I was taking that information, and then it was the way that I was then putting it across in my own unique way that people were resonating with. And they were like, you need to put this into a program. So spent a year, and I wrote and filmed an entire, like a pretty mega mindset coaching program for actors specifically, called Bulletproof Actor, Unstoppable Confidence, Infinite Success. And I launched it, and I was so scared, Bobby, of going, oh my God, what if people think it's full of shit? What if this doesn't work? And you have this huge imposter syndrome of going, oh my God, who am I to be teaching these people these things, etc.
Oh, I know, trust me.
Well, it's kind of like you feel a real responsibility for people, mate, where you're, people have invested a lot. The program that I launched was nearly 300 quid because it had taken me a year to produce and it had taken me roughly 7 years of my life to research. So I put it out there thinking, I wonder if people are going to buy it. And then people did buy it. And then I coached them through the program. It's a 5-week live program as well. You get videos and workbooks, and then we do a lot of live coaching online. And the emails I started getting from people were just priceless. In terms of, there were people who had been in all kind of situations that they'd needed. And I mean, real bad situations. And they'd been to every counselor on earth. They'd been on medication, all this kind of stuff. And they were like, nothing's worked for me. And yet actually implementing these strategies and techniques. Like I say, I can't take full credit for them. But, it really changed their life. So I launched that, when was it? 2015, 14, 15? It was around then. And then I then launched it every year. And I'm ready to film now at the moment, the second version of the program. And then I'm going to hopefully launch that at the end of this year. But if people want to find out a bit more about it, if you go to bulletprooffactor.com, you can get on a waiting list. But it's when I'm taking people through that program, it's 5 weeks of the best weeks of my life, every year when I do that. Because you just see people, I get people to do a video when they first come into the group saying what they want, what they achieve. And you screwed us over on yours.
Well, I will tell that story because there is context that maybe you haven't heard before, right? I tried to record my intro video twice, but it wouldn't upload both times. So by the third time I was like, I'm getting so sick of this. So I just decided to just be a troll and just record it in an American accent. And so I was just like, hey guys, I'm Bobby Calloway. This is what I want to do, and I was rambling on for a few minutes, and I was like, by the end,
it was very good and convincing. I was completely convinced. And then when we got Bobby on the first live call and he started talking as Bobby, I was like, wait a minute.
Oh no, it happened before that, because it was at the very end of the video I just switched back. I was like, oh yeah, this is my real voice. And I posted it thinking, oh, hopefully Ross doesn't get mad. And then the first comment was, all in block capitals, you got me!
Ah, there you go. Oh my God. Bloody hell, you got a good memory, man. But yeah, I remember watching it because you were talking about wrestling and stuff. And I was like, what's going on here? He's American and he's a wrestler. What's happening? WWE or what?
Yeah, because I played an American when I wrestled as well, so.
Ah, okay. But yeah, we now I take people through that. I'm going to film the second version of it now. I've learned a lot more myself. I think there's something about if anyone's out there and has a coach in anything in their life, if their coach doesn't have a coach, you probably want to ditch him because you can't be there saying, right, you need to be coached and everyone should have a coach. If that, it would be so hypocritical for me not to have coaches in my life as a coach for other people. So since I launched that program, obviously I've been coached massively. I know so much more now. I've implemented a lot more into my own life. So it's definitely at a point where I can add a lot more to the program. So I want to relaunch that at the end of this year. And hopefully, just have as much impact as possible. But it is a lot of actors, just the only thing, and probably just people in general, but I only know this industry. Well, I know this industry really well, but so many people are their own biggest roadblock. They're in their own way. They're very often the biggest thing between where they are and where they want to be. It's not casting directors. It's not that the industry's biased. It's not that you don't have privilege or there's it's a money issue or it's a time issue. These are all just massive limiting beliefs inside actors' heads about why they cannot succeed. And I think that one of the best things that you can do as a friend or as a coach or just someone else in the industry, a peer in the industry to another actor, is not buy into or allow these people to buy into and argue for their own limitations. I'm not going to sit down with someone and when they say, oh, this isn't fair and that isn't fair, and go, yeah, you're right, you're dead right. Because it's not the only other people who are going to agree with you that things aren't fair and that, the world's against you are other people who believe that and other people, without sounding brutal, who are losing in life. So you want to surround yourself with the people who don't buy into that. Actually look at the world as abundant and look at the good in the world, because you just see, Bobby, what you look for, mate, don't you? And at the moment you could look into the world and it is so easy with what's going on to just, if you look for negativity, you're going to see it everywhere. But I promise you, anyone watching or listening, if you also look for, and you have to look for it, but if you look for what is right in the world and you look for positivity, you will see that everywhere as well. It's abundant. It's all over the place. But, the media won't feed it you. You've got to look even harder.
Yeah, because would you say that were you raised religious or anything? Or
What's that, mate?
Just because, have you heard of the 7 deadly sins, obviously?
Yeah, but I
Yeah. Well, I was reading. I was just reading up on it like as research for something I was writing, and I was reading like the original biblical definitions of the sins are a lot bit different to what we know today. And obviously, there's the sin of sloth, right? Obviously, laziness. But in the original biblical definition, cynicism was counted as part of that because it's a different kind. It's a different kind of laziness. Like it's a moral laziness because it's so easy, so easy.
It will kill everything. So that's something that I say everyone who who either comes into the community or even on Bulletproof and stuff like that is like, you need to just leave that at the door. Just at least give what this this module on the program or whatever, people are just starting Bulletproof Factor and they are very cynical about I've tried everything and nothing will work for me. It's kind of just, please, you need to just drop that, leave it at the door, come in with an open mind, because if you possess cynicism and it possesses you when you start anything, you're just never going to succeed within it. It's probably the number one thing that I think it kills probably more dreams than anything else.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Because like from where I was coming from, I was pretty much the same when I started Bulletproof Actor anyway, because obviously it's a long story, kind of me finally getting to that point, but it was like, obviously had a lot of trauma from bullying and abuse growing up, and I had an eating disorder as a teenager, and like recently with the wrestling industry, there's finally been a movement called Speaking Out about people finally exposing like the rampant abuse and all the stuff that happened in the industry, and I suffered plenty of that as well, and I got out of it, and I was still dealing with that. I was still dealing with that for 2 years by the time I found you, and it was I wanted to act again. I was just kind of broken down by what I'd kind of experienced in life, which compared to what other people have experienced is not that much, to be honest.
But it's relative to you, mate. It's big to you. Yeah, exactly. It's like that's the thing people need to remember. It's like
2017 was which is when I was finally kind of studying under you. It was that was, I want to say, it's the first year in I don't know how many years that I was genuinely happy. It was like suddenly it's like I'd been in a room for years and like not realizing it, and then the door had been opened and I could just suddenly go outside, and like I'd never experienced it before. Like I still had my dark periods in 2017 as well, but it was something I'd never experienced before, and the fact that you were able to make me feel that way and help me kind of get something that I thought was impossible. I mean, it's like I'm following you for life because of that. So
well, that's amazing, mate. I'm happy to have you. But yeah, like I say, I put that program together through I think through needing it myself, in terms of it was the program that I wish I'd have had in 2006, but also that's just me studying under so many other incredible people, and then just cherry picking, going, actually, what, I resonate with that. I don't, that doesn't resonate with me, so I'm going to take that bit from that. I'm going to take this thought leader's ideas on this, and this guy's ideas on this, and this girl's ideas on this, and then I just put it all into one program. So it's amazing to know that it had that that impact. I'm really excited to get an even better version of it out now as well.
Yeah, I mean, just like the person that you are, that's kind of constantly inspiring me as well, because I think before I knew you, I maybe had the fallacy that I lived a very sheltered life, so I hadn't been out in the world that much, and I just kind of assumed that positive people were just like, oh, they'd never had anything bad happen to them, and they were just like in this like little bubble of denial or whatever. And it kind of took me to realize that a positive person is someone who has been through something but has chosen to kind of not let it rule them, and kind of just get on with things in a way. Because there was obviously a voice actress who I was lucky to meet at Comic-Con in 2018, Tara Strong, and like probably one of the most loveliest people you will ever hear of. She's so dedicated to her fans and everything, and she just seems like a lovely woman in general. And again, I was just following her on Twitter, like one of the reasons I ended up becoming an actor was being inspired by her. And she was just kind of sharing, like some of her own experiences. She lost her mother from a young age as well. And I just realized she still like suffered that, but she was able to kind of still move past it and kind of still become a better person. And obviously, sorry, hopefully I don't get too emotional when talking about this, but obviously you talking about losing your dad at a young age as well. And it's kind of been a constant thing where it's something I not necessarily have experienced yet, but it's like I know that one day I'm going to experience the feeling of losing the people that I love, and that's always kind of scared me anyway. And I want to say that's kind of been like a major sort of like contributing factor to behind loads of my suicidal thoughts that I've had over the years anyway. It's like, oh, if I die first, then I don't have to lose them. It's like I don't have to worry about that. like an escape in a way. But then it's like you saying that you experienced that, and I think you said like if someone had told you like last week that if that was going to happen, then you'd say, "Oh, I don't know how I'm going to be able to handle that." But then when it happened, and you said, I had to handle it, and you still, I mean, look at your fucking life now. You're amazing. You're an inspiration to so many people, and it's like it shows you can go through bad things and you can experience things that will hurt like hell, but you can still become a better person because of that. And
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I mean,
huge comfort to me as well.
there's the book we did on book club all those years ago. There's a great book people should read called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. And this is the whole, actually, you don't even need to read it. I'll just basically tell you in a few sentences what it basically will do for you. But ultimately, yeah, it says, listen, that there will have been things in your life that, like I said, on that Thursday night, I remember it so well, Bobby. It was still, it was the, when would it have been? It was just the day before. My dad died on the 1st of June. So it would have been the 31st of May, 2006. And if someone would have said to me on that, on that Thursday, your dad won't be here tomorrow. I know it would have been a Wednesday, saying you won't be here on the Thursday. I would have been like you said, that would have been like, I cannot deal with that. I was 24. Like I said, my mum had issues with, at that point, she was basically, almost practically blind, couldn't work. My brother lived down in London, so he wasn't around. And ultimately, it was my dad who just sort of, took care of everything. My dad was just, very old fashioned kind of, man's man. I'll basically just, yeah, exactly. I'll fix everything. You just felt safe when my dad was around. And then to go, you're going to lose him tomorrow. I'd have been like, I cannot handle that. Like, please, anything but that. Like, I just can't deal with that. And then it happens. And there will have been times in your life where you've thought this before as well, to a lesser or greater extent, depending on what's happened to you, where you've thought, I won't be able to deal with that thing. And then it does happen. And then you're left with absolutely no choice. I mean, there are two choices. Obviously, like you say, you could do, if you went down, a rabbit hole and it got really dark, you could go, well, actually, I won't cope with this. Not I can't, but you're choosing not to. You go, I won't cope with it, and I will end this myself. But for me, that was never, never an option in terms of like, no matter how bad things got, because like I'm always like every morning as well, I remind myself, who needs me on my A game today? But my mum definitely needs me on my A game today. People in this community that I run, they need me on my A game today. My niece, my nephew, my brother, all these people around me. So it's like, and the last thing that my dad said to me, like I say, was such a gift, was you look after your mum. It still is something I think about all the time. Literally the last thing that he ever said to me. I then tapped him on the arm and said, you look after yourself, big man. Walked out of the hospital thinking that I would see him. He was getting moved to another hospital that was a bit more specializing in hearts. And then the phone call that we got that was to say, that I thought was going to be, hey, he's on ward 6B, you can see him tonight, was, I was moving my mom was on the phone. So this guy said, I was moving your husband. I was the nurse in the ambulance with him. Where we're moving him from one hospital to a hospital in Wythenshawe here in Manchester. And he had a cardiac arrest in the ambulance. We brought him back, but then he had another cardiac arrest going into the theatre. And now he is dead. They were the exact words that he said. And my mum just screamed and dropped the phone. I thought, fuck, I kind of knew. It's a weird, mate, because I kind of almost like felt this was going to happen. And then that, obviously they were the last words that he left me with. So for me, I had absolutely no choice but to cope. I was like, I just have to get through this. And I remember putting my mum to bed that night, literally, to like, just almost like just support her to get her up the stairs. And like, she's getting into bed and she was saying, her words to me were like, I'm finished. That's me finished. And like, cause she relied on my dad for everything. He was the only one she would trust, to take like her out of the house. She wouldn't really trust anybody else, because obviously she's been with my dad so long, and she just sort of had grown to rely on him for her own independence, I guess, with him. And she was like, that's it, I'm done. I was like, fuck, you can't, like, you can't, I am not kind of standing for this. And in a way, knowing what my dad had said to me just massively empowered me. And then you've got to look at the flip side of everything. You can label that event as a tragedy for the rest of your life. And then you can just lose again and again and again and again and again until it's over. Or, as incongruent as it sounds, you can go, well, actually, you know what if I labeled my dad's death as a gift? And you'll go, whoa, that's well out of order. You can't do that. But you go, no, if it has to be for me, that, I have to go, right, actually, what are the things that it gave me? Well, it gave me massive appreciation of life, of my family, of other people around me, other loved ones, friends, family, you know, just people that I meet in life in general, just an appreciation of other people who are alive, sharing this space at the same time as me. When you think of like how long the Earth's been around, mate, for me and you to be here at the same point in time, and out of 7.5 billion people our paths to ever have crossed, and then to end up literally on this call right now, the odds were like so freaking slim. So it's like actually just a massive gratitude and appreciation for that. What it's taught me about, you know, just kind of like making sure that people around you know you appreciate them as well. Because that was something as well. My dad, like I said, was a proper man's man. I'm quite kind of like, I don't know. I am. I don't really know how to describe it without making myself sound bad, but basically like public displays of affection, I don't do that well and things like that, you know, sort of like I probably should tell the people that I love them more, but in my, honestly, this will sound mental, but in my entire life, I honestly think I actually said the words to my dad, I love you, Dad. Probably just once, mate. I can remember the exact time. And it's not that we didn't, we just took it for granted and knew that it went unsaid. Of course your family love you, like, but it just wasn't a thing that, you know, what we kind of did. I said my dad was a proper bloke. so it's kind of like, you know, it taught me that, going, God, you know what, probably should have said that more. All of these just ultimately, you know, incredible gifts that I got, and also looking at the 24 years that I got to spend with my dad as a gift, because my dad's dad died when he was 4 or 5. So I ultimately got another 20 years, and there'll be people, you know, unfortunately who lose their dads way younger than I did. So you just got to, you've just got to realize that what happens in life, you can't really control a lot of that. When that happens, that will happen. And don't worry about you know, how you're going to cope or what it'll be like or anything like that. It's a really interesting time of your life. Like, you grow, as crazy as it sounds, so much because you have no choice, mate. But definitely don't focus on it. If I just focused on when the day I'm going to lose my mom, I'd never do anything, mate. I'd just be like, oh my God, I can't deal with that. But it is the order of life, isn't it? You know, and it is, if life goes in the right order, you know, then we will outlive our parents, because that's actually how it should go. And we should, you know, celebrate that in the fact of that getting older ourselves is such a privilege. I say it on quite a lot of the broadcast, don't I? I like to remind people, going, listen, 151,000 people who woke up yesterday didn't wake up today. That's just the general statistics. When we don't have COVID knocking around, or we don't have wars and things like that, you know, 151,000 people on average lose their life every day. So if you woke up this morning, don't tell me you're a loser. You freaking won at life today. Celebrate that the first thing in the morning, going, yes, get up and just kiss the world that you're alive. But it's interesting. But yeah, ultimately, you will be able to cope with whatever life throws at you. So, you know, you can go into any situation never having to fear it. That's what Susan Jeffers' book is about. Look at the things in your life that have happened that you didn't think you could cope with. You cope with them. You're now through the other side. So actually, when you realize that whatever happens, you will cope with it, then you have no situation to actually fear. So you can actually go and enjoy your life. Don't need to read the book now.
Yeah, and I can remember that it was obviously, sorry to be blunt, after my first suicide attempt when it was a good few years ago now. I think that was kind of when I started sort of, would you believe I used to be very reluctant to hug people and show affection as well?
It's weird, isn't it? But yeah, no, honestly, I get it, mate. I get it. And I think that was, you know, maybe that's like a slight masculinity thing, you know, that's maybe a little bit toxic amongst us guys.
Yeah.
That it's, you know, when you're growing up, you are told though all those things, like, you know, boys don't cry, like, you know, man up. You know, particularly I played a lot of sport before my eyes started going a bit dodgy. And my dad was a massive footballer. You know, my dad played for Scotland. And he would come and watch me play football, and, you know, he would get like really into it, mate. And he'd be shouting at me from the sideline and stuff. And it was just all about, you know, it was a proper man's
Scottish
kind
as
of
well,
world.
so.
And he was Scottish. That's what I mean. So he's like, come on, kick him. I'm like, going, like, fucking have him. Like, if anyone fouled me, he'd be like, he'd go mental. And yeah, I just very much grew up like that, kind of like, I guess, yeah, it's kind of in a weird sense, almost like showing that kind of side of me felt, I guess, like maybe like I was taking my armor off. It was almost like a weakness to do that, you know, where actually I now I've grown up that it's, you know, it's a massive strength. But it just takes you know, a bit of time for you to realize that sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it was like I think yeah, I had to build to up to being able to hug people for the first time. Yeah, like it would take me months to just like hug my friends in college, but then I think obviously things changed in me anyway, and I was like, there might I might have another bad day like this. I might not be here tomorrow. I don't want people I care about to not know what they meant to me. If I'm taken away too soon. So I just eventually just like show affection and kind of just randomly I'll randomly send messages to people saying like, oh hey, love you, you're great, just feeling appreciative there. And yeah, I think you got a few of those as well. You're like, Bobby, what have you been drinking?
Yeah, I think it's honestly it's genuinely like I appreciate that, mate, and I like to try and do stuff like that as well sometimes when you are. I think
you said that on one of your periscopes one day. It was like at 10 o'clock at night. You says like, oh, I dare you to just like message 3 people just like showing appreciation. I'm just like, I do that already.
Nice, because it's something that I didn't. It's something that I didn't, and now I like to do. Back in the day when I was allowed to sit in Costa Coffee, although I can now, I think I'm allowed to go and sit back in there now. They're very socially distanced. I would just sit there, have a brew, and go. You know what? Right, scroll through my phone because you have loads of numbers in your phone, don't you? That you've just never texted in months, sometimes years, and there will just be like just a message. It could just be 3 lines. It'll take you a minute, and the impact that a message like hey Dave. Just checking in, mate. Wondered how you are. Saw you've got that new job. That's amazing. Just wanted to say, still don't forget
You freeze there, I think.
that thing that you did for me. That's the thing that I call Mark Dharma. Became a huge sort of influence in my life. I'll still message him saying, mate, I just want you to know that like still, like how many years later, 15 years later or whatever, I owe you a lot. Basically, you changed my life, and I just want you to know that that I haven't forgotten that. And I don't want you to forget it. And the impact those messages have on people is just massive. It can change the way someone's day is going completely, where they just get a message from you going, listen, I massively appreciate you. You've had a huge impact on me or whatever. And they might be having one of those days where they just feel like shit, and then suddenly boom, everything's just a bit better. So I think we love your mum, Bobby.
Oh well, yeah. Everyone loves her on set as well because it's like, because we always have to film in the house, and then she's always like the angel who just like gets everyone food and like make sure.
Oh, she's just she's Irish mums, mate. My mate Eddie, his mum was like that. Basically, they can't. And Rob Collier's mum is Irish,
from the same area, I think as well. Donegal.
Ah, okay, yeah. And absolute like matriarch kind of like again. You just know when they're around, everything's all right. Definitely, it's awesome, man. I can't remember what was I saying?
Showing appreciation.
I'm just about sending messages. Yeah, just that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna challenge everybody. Get your phone out now and just text 3 people who maybe you've not spoken to in a little while, and literally it can be a 3-line message just saying, hey, checking in. Just sending a few messages out to some people I'm thinking about to show my appreciation. If you do anything for you, let me know. Have an amazing day. Boom, something like that, and then just see what people come back with. They will freaking love you for it, and it'll brighten up their day. And then they'll pass it on. That's the great thing. Ripple effect, Bobby. Boom, they could go and be nice to someone who then is nice to someone else, and then it changes their entire life as well.
Yeah, and it's always fun for me whenever I do it. I have like a lot of friends who are like a lot younger than me as well, like 18, 19, and obviously they're probably like not experienced that sort of thing first, and they're just like, Bobby, what are you smoking?
Bobby, are you taking something? You just go, yes, mate, gratitude. That's what I'm taking.
I'm going to steal that line. And like it's always I feel like it's always important to kind of just to show appreciation as well, and just like to kind of let people know what they mean to you, even though it's even though don't think it's implied. There's nothing wrong with because pretty much like once this pandemic started anyway, me and my best friend, we were like live in completely different counties, and we're kind of just like a complete, we realized we weren't going to be able to see each other for a while, and actually it just became a thing to just like call every day at first, and just like check in, and we would always end the call by saying, I love you too, because it's like, again, we had no idea what the state of the world was, like would we still be here tomorrow or whatever. So
at the start, I mean, I'm used to this now, but it was such a weird, like that first week of lockdown where Boris comes on, over here anyway in the UK, Boris pops up on our tellies and he's like, I am now telling you to stay at home. And you're like, oh my God, like, is the army going to be out on the streets? You know, and this is where everyone's then stealing all the bog roll.
Oh God, and the
There's no
bread as well.
toilet. There's no toilet roll anywhere. And I'm like, what am I living in? I had a little moment like that the other day when I went into Costa and I was in the queue and I looked outside and I just thought, wow, like if you'd have told me that if I looked outside Costa Coffee like 6 months ago, I would just see a sea of people in masks. I'd be like, it just feels like you're on a film set. It doesn't feel quite real yet. It's definitely like, you know, we're still in some sort of sci-fi movie. It feels like Resident Evil and the T virus has got out and there's going to be zombies everywhere in a minute.
I watched that movie the other day, and I actually emailed the casting director saying, "Oh, hey, I'm a huge geek for this movie. Just thanks for that." Because it turns out she also cast Band of Brothers, and that's what also made me want to become an actor. So that was my way in. So it's like I say something about Band of Brothers, and then I say, "P.S. I'm a massive Resident Evil geek. Love that movie too."
I just talked to a casting director yesterday and was like, brackets, don't really admit this, but I'm a secret Pokemon geek and I love Detective Pikachu because that was what she cast. So I was like, I love it. Honestly, I've got like well back. Did I tell you I found my 20-year-old Pokemon card collection? Actors, right? You're all telling me you've got no money. If you have, this has blown my mind. If you have any old Pokemon cards from 1999, 2000, when you might have collected them as a little geek like I was, particularly if you ever put them in a folder and you kept them. I kept them at my mum's house in a folder, Bobby.
I'd like an official book to put them in as well.
Well, if you've still got them and they're from the Wizard of the Coast ones, right, well, you need to check them out because some of the cards that I have found are literally worth a single card, hundreds of pounds each. Not thousands because they're not first edition ones. If you had first edition ones, then they're insane. But I've just sent a load off to America to get graded as well because you get them graded out of 10 and then they become worth a lot more money. They come back in these little plastic slabs graded by a company called PSA. I found this binder and I reckon I've sent 36 cards off to get graded. And I reckon the combined total of those 36 cards could potentially be up to about $5,000. And I was going to throw them away. So if you're skint and you're an actor and you're complaining about having no money, just if your little brother or anybody has Pokemon cards from 1999 or 2000, they were the first sets, you could potentially be sitting on a little gold mine there. But yeah, I've got well back into it.
Yeah, you'll have to like send me a step-by-step guide of how to do that afterwards.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Of course I can. Definitely. Without a doubt. Honestly, because I think there'll be a lot of people in our community. There will be a lot of people sat on these cards, I'm sure, who don't really know how valuable that they can be. As long as they've been put in a binder and they've been kept, you know, pretty decent condition, they really are worth some serious dough. It's a better investment than the stock market right now. It's a bit of a dodgy area, the stock market with coronavirus. So yeah, put all your money into Pokemon cards instead. That's my tip. But I'm not a financial advisor.
See, this is the great thing about talking to Ross. You never know what direction you'll end up in. And
no, we went really deep on death, and now we're down to Pokemon cards. That's how we roll.
Well, I can find a way to bridge the gap because obviously you've seen Detective Pikachu, right? Yep. Do you remember there's a young actor in there? His name's Justice Smith. He's mixed race, like African American. Yeah, I just saw him in a film the other night, and it was just like I've seen it before, but again, I watched it again. It's called All the Bright Places. It's on Netflix, and you should watch it because he's amazing in it. And like, it really moved me because that character was me. I realized that character was me because, again, it deals with grief, it deals with suicide, it deals with loss, and it was like, it kind of, again, it was just like really, it really just kind of put things in perspective for me as well because I had a bad experience like just 2 days ago. Wednesday, just something happened and I got triggered really badly. It was something that happens to me a lot, but you know, it was the one day I lost control and I got triggered so badly, and I actually had to just like lie in bed for 2 hours just kind of like thinking all these dark thoughts. And I ended up watching this movie to kind of make myself feel better or whatever, which watch a movie about suicide to make yourself feel better.
It was just,
whatever works for you, Bobby. Yeah.
I was actually listening to the music from that like when you signed on, so
Ah, okay. But yeah, no, I do know what you're talking about. I'll check it out. What's it called again?
All the Bright Places.
All the Bright Places.
Yeah, and it's pretty much what the ending sequence is. Pretty much, it's what we were just talking about put into like a nice, eloquent, like screen-written speech.
Oh, okay. I will have to check it out. And if it's sad, I'll have to watch Detective Pikachu again, just to lift myself back up again. But yeah, no, this. Do you know what? There's so many things coming out, and another thing, you know, bring it back to acting. it's such a great thing for actors in terms of the amount of production that is going on within Netflix, within the streaming services, Hulu, Netflix, Amazon. On Quibi is another one as well that I've just learnt about, of Jimmy Akambola. He's in a show on it's spelled Quibi, and I think it's only mobile streaming. But there's some really, really big stuff, being put on there that's exclusive to the, to the platform. That's Quibi, Quibi. Check that out. But as actors, it just means there's more and more stuff being made, mate. It's just more stuff for us to be in.
Yeah, and streaming has been a saving grace for many shows, because streaming is like a much better way to monitor who's watching what than like the old rating system as well, which was like just like kind of an average or whatever. So there were so many shows that were still being watched but like were just cancelled because like of this figure, and then like Netflix has actually, and other streaming platforms have picked them up and saved them as well, and like there's shows that are getting continuations as well, and it's like we are kind of living in a golden age for opportunities in terms of like what's being produced anyway. So
without a doubt, and that's what I mean. Again, if you look for the positivity in the world, you'll find it. If you want to be one of the actors who is looking at the fact that theaters are closed because of coronavirus temporarily, and that's all you're focusing on, then that's all you're going to see, and you're just going to see.
Tonight I'm actually watching something where it's the Dublin Youth Theatre. They've organised a sort of pop opera that's going to be streamed over Zoom, and they were just like promoting it online, and I read it, was like, yes, I have to support this. I'm buying a ticket and I'm watching the show tonight.
Nice. Yeah, there's always a way. That's something that we say in in Bulletproof Actor. One of the first things that we kind of go through is, I've probably even got, let me just get rid of this little dragon.
Oh no, show the dragon. Who is the dragon? I want to see the dragon.
It was from the John Lewis advert, at Christmas, the little dragon who sets fire to everything and then sort of gets crying, and then he lights the Christmas pudding.
Here's mine.
What have you got? He's got a dragon as well.
Mm-hmm. And if you're a Final Fantasy fan, you worked in games, so you know what Final Fantasy is. Here is a Princess Garnet from Final Fantasy IX.
Oh, you see, I wouldn't know that, but I do know Final Fantasy. But yeah, there's ultimately, I get people to go through this. You will have gone through this, Bobby. And these are just, in terms of looking for the good in the world, these are just sort of like, 10 declarations that I get, people to go through. And I get people to sign this, to go, listen, I'm buying into this. And they're, there's some just really interesting little, little mindset shifts, really. My past does not equal my future. Is a massive, massive one. And the one I was referring to now is there's always a way if I am committed. So the youth theatre, they could go, well, we can't put anything on because the theatre's closed. We can't get an audience. It's like, well, you know what? If you really want something, you'll find a way. If you don't really want it, you'll just find an excuse of why you can't do it. So have a look at things in your life and go, actually, am I not doing that because I'm just making an excuse for myself? And I should actually just admit to myself that the reason I'm making that excuse is that I don't actually really want it. So therefore, I'm going to stop chasing that thing. Or are you going to step up and commit to it, and then you'll find a way, to actually get it? And there is nothing wrong as well. Something that I found in my life and my acting career, there's nothing wrong with changing your mind. It's such a superpower. So many actors go after one thing, and then they get to a point where it isn't working for them. They they don't know what they're doing, but they won't let go of that one thing in order to replace it with something else, because they feel, oh, well, if I don't get on that show, then I've failed. And it isn't the case. Maybe you haven't got on that show because actually it doesn't mean that much to you anymore, because you're not chasing it as hard as you could be. But maybe there's a different show that now you would prefer to be on, and it's fine to change your mind, or it's fine. For me, I had to go, I don't want to do theatre. Like, I just have no passion for it. And that's built in it comes from a place because of my eye condition. I just find it so hard to, navigate sets, move off set, in terms of like, at the end of scenes, change scenery, get off the stage. I mean, just getting off the stage, Bobby, it's like, it's not the acting or the performance that ever throws me or makes me nervous. It's just, how am I going to get off the stage in the dark? Because it really affects your night vision, this eye condition. So I was just like, look, it's, me saying I'm not going to do theatre isn't failing at theatre. I don't want to do it. I really love, and I'm passionate about screen and film, TV and film. I literally love it. I love editing. I love the things you can do with music in the edit, shots, the way the camera angles, all this kind of stuff.
I've become such a geek for color grading this year. I was like, You see the before and the after. Yeah, it's like, oh my god, look what you've done.
Yeah, it changes the entire feeling of a scene, the entire look of a film, you know, and it can add so much to it that you can't do that sort of stuff in theatre. So, for me, it wasn't like, oh, I'm not an actor because I'm saying I don't want to do theatre. I don't want to do theatre, and that makes me really happy because, like, it's not me going, oh, I should do theatre. Real actors do theatre. No, not interested. So it's fine to change your mind, or it's fine to say no to certain things, because it means that you are saying yes to yourself.
Because did you? I'm guessing you probably didn't see the latest version of Little Women that came out at the start of this year, end of last year.
No, mate. I've basically seen nothing because I've been so deep in content creation.
I have a connection. Don't worry. There's basically, it's obviously about the four sisters, and one of the sisters, her dream is to become an actress, but then she also decides to kind of give up on that dream because she also wants to get married and have a family. And the main character, Jo, she's like a real kind of outspoken feminist who like believes women shouldn't have to marry or whatever. And even on her wedding day, she's trying to convince the sister to just like give up on this dreams. And the sister, who's played by Emma Watson, who is a national hero, my love of my life, Emma Watson. Yeah, she says,
"You're gonna marry her, Bobby."
Well, she's aromantic like me, so that's probably not going to happen. But
well, never say never.
Sorry, yeah, she says. Well, the quote is, just because my dreams are different to yours doesn't mean they're unimportant.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. And we all, that's the thing, every actor is going to have ever so slightly different dreams. And it doesn't mean that I'm saying anyone who loves theatre is wrong. If theatre lights you up, and and you are happy whether you're performing in front of one person or 1,000 in a packed out theatre, because you just love it, you've won. Ultimately, the whole thing. You know what I mean? We can just talk about this for a second. When it comes to, we spoke about goals today, and we talked about achievements and all this sort of stuff, and going after what you want and dreams and things like that. Ultimately, the only goal I really, believe that is important in everybody's life, and it sounds as cliched as anything, but it is just to be happy, mate, isn't it? Right? So you can go, well, what is it that I need to be doing that actually just makes me happy? And sometimes what I've learned myself over the last sort of 4 weeks, because I got so deep into content creation on Acts on This since lockdown, ultimately, to be transparent, to save the business, because I was like, if I do not pull all the stops out to bring on the best guests, the best actors, the best casting directors, agents, really double down on the community, make people feel supported, then people will leave because they're scared around finances right now. They're scared of what coronavirus will do, the impact it will have financially, particularly to our sector. So I got so deep in content creation. It was like a treadmill, mate, for 13 weeks, 2 live broadcasts a week, dealing with all the admin of the memberships, all the video editing, promotion of the new stuff, arranging the guests. It got to the point of almost burnout. I was like, I cannot continue working at this rate, 18, 19 hours a day, real full on, literally 2 5-minute breaks for food. I mean, 5 minutes. I'd literally throw something in a bag of rice in the microwave for 2 minutes and I'd eat it, then carry on working. I was like, I can't keep doing this. And then when I found those Pokemon cards that I said, right, I got so deep into the research that I would, when I'm looking up these cards and going, oh my God, what am I actually sitting on here? That it really took me back to that time of like real nostalgia when I did collect the cards. It was a real lovely feeling for just a couple of hours where I'm like, I'm just actually, you know what, I'm going to have a break and I'm just going to focus on this, because it was kind of a break, but also it could maybe make me money financially. So it was well worthwhile doing. But then I started watching little videos on YouTube of people just, talking about Pokemon cards and opening packs and things like that. And it got to a point where I was like, oh my God, like watching this and research this is making me really happy, right? It was just a place of pure, unadulterated just happiness of going, wow, like I've forgot all about work. I forgot about the pressures of everything that's going on around me and coronavirus and all this sort of stuff. And it just made me realize that, you need that in your life. You need something, it's great striving for these massive goals, and wanting to achieve all this greatness and have all this success. But actually, you know what? Sometimes that can be like just create more stress in your life and just not make you happy. So the goal has always got to be that. And if you are happy now, doing what you are doing, and it doesn't have to be, what other people would think as amazing things, you've won. You've literally already won. So many people are like, oh, but I'm not ambitious and I'm not this. And, but if you're just having a lovely time, watching Netflix, chilling out, spending time with your family, and you're not all about the money and the grind and the fame and the fortune and everything about the acting industry and all the other things in life, the bling bling. That's great. Like I would never ever tell people, you know, to change anything in their life if they're just if what you're doing is making you happy, that is the game, like completely. It's like you've already won.
I had an experience similar to that, like I think it was the end of May, where it was, yeah, I remember I got that job voicing the audiobook, and it was the most stressful thing I've ever had to do, which is probably very good for me if like voicing an audiobook is the only stressful thing I've had to put up with. But again, it was Friday. Again, I was like doing 12-hour days trying to get it done, and I was like, I still had like 3 days left on the deadline, and again, I was like, I wasn't talking to anyone, I wasn't, I was like full on, like get this done. And my friend Adam, who I love, who I've only met this year, and he was my first guest on this actually. And I think we were talking about like recording a sketch together over Zoom or something. And he was saying, "Oh, do you want to just like jump on Zoom at 5?" And at first I was going to say no. I was like, "No, I got to get this done." And I was like, "No, come on, take a break from the audiobook." And we jumped on Zoom and talked for maybe 5 minutes about what the sketch could be about, and then just kept talking on Zoom until my battery ran out, and then I just like got out the phone, just called them up normally, and just kept on talking until I think probably 2 hours again. And it was like I felt so much better just like taking a break from this thing that was stressing me out, and I was like, recharge, go back to it.
Yeah, because I would find that, when I did that and I had that hour out, just of complete, just like forget about work for, 1 hour, I would come back way more invigorated, mate. So had I just spent that hour continuing on work, I don't think I'd have been as productive. I probably would have been half as productive. So I would have got the same amount of work done, but it would have took twice as long. So I just am a big believer now in just having, just like having scheduled breaks and just going, you know what, like there is a limit here. I know going for a walk right now and listening to something myself as opposed to recording something myself is going to make me attack what I've got left to do way better when I get back. I'm going to be way more productive, way more efficient, and probably more creative as well. Because sometimes if you're just grinding the whole day on something, sometimes I go for a run on a Sunday and I have some incredible ideas when I'm out running that that I would never have had if I'd have continued to just sit in front of the computer and just work. I wouldn't have come up with those things that end up really changing the the game within your business or your life. So find something that just really makes you happy, like opening Pokemon cards, and you'll find that you're way more productive in your work life. Definitely love it.
Oh yeah, so sorry, we've gone on for an hour now. So before we wrap up, because I know Ross has probably loads of things that he has to get done today. So
there's got quite a few things on today, but yeah, we still got a bit more time. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Just okay. What are your what are your hopes for the future once all this is over? Like again, once the industry has come back to normal and.
So interesting, isn't it? I think it's just been there's been a few things that I've learned. During lockdown and during coronavirus, and I really hope, like, I'm super optimistic for the future. I don't read a lot of the news because I think it can really just bring you down. I think if the first thing you're doing is reaching for your phone in the morning during this pandemic to just see how bad it's got or how many more places have been locked down or figures that are never going to be super inspiring, I think that you need to maybe stop doing that. Statistically, the news we know will serve you 17 pieces of negative news for every one positive piece. But I am super optimistic. I have seen some research recently on vaccines and stuff that's going on, and we're leading the way in this country. So I am really I'm super optimistic that next year we'll have one in terms of, so at the most, we're probably going to have to go another year where things will be restricted. But there's a lot of stuff opening up in our industry, TV particularly. Theatre will still be hit, although from today indoor performances can happen but socially distanced. I don't know if that makes them financially viable for a lot of theatres, so I imagine most will still stay closed, but things will move hopefully, and we'll get better over the next few weeks. But film and TV is happening already. All the serial dramas are back. They're all filming. New episodes of EastEnders were announced yesterday. They're starting from September the 7th for you EastEnders fans. But, Hollyoaks is back, Emmerdale's back, Coronation Street's back, Holby, Doctors, Casualty, for us actors, all the serial dramas are back. There's work happening. The industry will open up more and more. But if anything, the thing for me, I just think when we're open fully and hopefully, we're all vaccinated, everything is safe, and this is a memory, that I hope people don't forget again, it comes down to gratitude. Don't forget what it was like that first week, where ultimately it felt like all of the things that we take for granted were kind of like gone. in terms of, you know, when you weren't allowed to leave your house, you could go out for 1 hour a day, but I felt so nervous those first few days going out. It was almost like there was just, you know, this invisible thing out there that was ready to kill you at any moment. You know,
Yeah, we were kind of lucky where we were because we're kind of like more rural anyway, so it's like things were kind of as normal, just, you know, sanitize the hands, wear the masks and all that sort of thing. And like people in the supermarket were really respectful as well. Like it was never crowded or, you know, overrun. So things were kind of mostly normal for us. So
here in the centre of Manchester, it wasn't normal, Bobby. It was horrible. But yeah, and it was a leveler. I felt that, oh my God, actually, you know what? And again, it comes back down to success and money. No matter what I have, none of that can help me right now. Like literally the only people that I am relying on right now, and the people who we can never take for granted again, are the key workers, the hospital workers, the supermarket workers, the people who kept this country going, you know, those first few weeks. It was not about us as actors. To be honest, no one cared. And why should they? You know, when it's a matter of literally life and death, the people you look to, the people who are most important, the people who keep the society going. So I just hope that we don't lose that perspective. That's sort of my hope when the industry opens up completely fully, and that our appreciation of other people outside the industry, you know, continues. That we, you know, I really hope all the nurses and all the doctors get pay rises, and all the key workers, and the people in working supermarkets get pay rises. You know, I'm not one who is like, actors are so precious and we're more important than anybody else. I just hope that, you know, people appreciate and don't get too, you know, don't too quickly get back to normal in terms of, you know, getting complacent and taking their jobs for granted. We will have been out, you know, of the industry, for those who work in theatre, particularly a long time. And I just think getting back in will just hopefully create a whole new lease of life. Hopefully we'll see a load of new shows coming out, a lot of new creativity.
including your sitcom.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean, mate? Yeah, precisely. I've definitely got stuff that I need to make and put out there.
You need someone who can do an American accent and put his legs behind his head.
Bobby's your man. I think there is a thing, you know, when you know that you could do something at any time, you don't do it. But then when it's taken away from you, when the opportunity is taken away, you're like, oh my God, like I should have done that kind of thing. I think that's what it might have done to a certain degree for a lot of people, where it's like, you know, actors want to act. They know they could write to a casting director whenever because they're casting shows all the time. You know, stuff's happening, so they don't do it. And then suddenly when that's taken away and you go, even if you write, there's nothing to cast at the moment anyway. Hopefully when all that comes back, it's just going to G actors up to go, right, you know what, this time I've reset. I've used this time off to reset myself. I've got all my ducks in a row. I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to hit this industry now, you know, for as much as I can get from it and as much as I can give to it. Because now I can, because it's back open. You know, it's like thinking it, you know, you don't miss what you've got till it's gone. You only miss your water when the wells run dry, Bobby.
Did you come up with that, or did you read it somewhere?
I think Craig David said that. You don't miss your water till the wells run dry. It's a great song, Craig. I'm sure you probably robbed it from someone else, though. I just hope people, you know, come back with gratitude. It's all about that. It is the antidote of all poison. When you just look for what you have to be grateful for, and you've got so much every single day, but people don't focus on it because it's like, you know, they just take it for granted. And that was the thing with coronavirus. It took a lot of those things away from us. So hopefully people will now start appreciating them more.
Yeah,
so there we go.
It was, obviously, going back to all the bright places, there's a quote at the end where she says that something, I wish I could remember the full thing because it's so eloquent and so well said.
Come on, Bobby. You've got
and I have the language skills of a garden topiary, so it's like, okay, she says like, and that there are bright places even in dark times. And if there aren't, you can be that bright place.
Yes, that's so good. That is so good. That is exactly it. If you take anything away from this podcast, take that. That's brilliant. Yeah, definitely. There are bright places everywhere. And what if you cannot see them, you can be that bright place. It's perfect.
I feel my eyes getting watery because you're reminding me of the emotional ending of the film now.
Oh, don't think about it, Bobby. Don't think about it. Go and watch Detective Pikachu.
Okay, and is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
No, I mean, I just appreciate chatting, mate. I could chat all day. You know, thanks for asking me on. Like I say, I spend my entire life reaching out to other people, asking them to be on my show. So I'm always up for a chat if you ever need anything. Massively appreciate you being part of the community. Bobby's been around a long time, many years. He's always active, gets involved in everything that I do. I don't take that for granted, Bobby. I'm massively grateful for that. And I look forward to what we're going to be doing as well on September the 5th, mate.
Oh,
We've got a virtual event coming up. I'm going to be looking at helping actors really understand exactly what it takes to get your first TV role. So many actors I see who are so talented, could do it, should have done it, years ago, but just aren't implementing a few things in their life and in their careers that I've done 25 times now to get work, to get decent TV jobs. And I just thought, Bobby, that everyone was doing it. It wasn't until I had a chat with some people in the community and they were like, oh my God, why have I never thought of that? And I was like, have I not been saying this for like 10 years? I'm like, no, not quite like that. So we're going to do a full day virtual, going to be the first virtual event I've ever done, mate. 8 hours of live streaming. I hope the internet doesn't blow up. Fingers crossed. All will be well.
Yeah, I personally can't wait until I'm able to fly over to Manchester, because I'm going to be bringing 2 friends over with me. We're going to go to the Act on This meetups. Like I said, I've been saying.
Oh, no way! Oh, well, that's amazing. Who's coming?
My best friend Greg Young. I don't know, if you keep up with me on my socials, then you'll probably see him pop up in all my stuff. And my friend Adam as well, who was the first guest on this podcast as well. And Greg was the 15th, Adam was the 1st, and I think you'll be the 20th. So.
Yes. Love it. Well, you got to keep making them, Bobby. I think it's great, mate. I think it's great. I think consistency is key. And like I said at the very start, I said when you said explain a bit about yourself, and I said for the first 8 years nobody cared. Like genuinely, mate. I mean that. I don't mean it in a bad way, but like it took a long, long time of consistency, recording content every week, putting it out. I just fell in love with the process. It was never, and this is the thing for you when you're creating this sort of stuff, it can never, and anyone who's creating stuff online, be about the numbers. It can never be about the metrics. It can never be about, if I don't get 100,000 views, I'm a loser. Create for the joy of creating, and be consistent, and eventually the audience will come if you show up week in, week out, and you put stuff out, and you must put stuff out as if 1 million people are watching, even if it's only 1. I had 3 people on my first Periscope you were talking about. 1 hour broadcast back in the day, 3 people. And there was times I think that went down to like none at times, as people were kind of like tuning in and out. And I had to keep presenting because there was no guest. It was just me on video for an hour, as if there was 1 million people watching. So fall in love with the process. Don't end game, and don't judge yourself on numbers, comments, subscribers, viewers, all that sort of stuff. Just enjoy it, Bobby. But I think it's great, mate. And I look forward to seeing more episodes.
Yeah, because even if before I wrap this up, I just remembered something. Great ex-wrestler called Tori Wilson said something about, like, she started a new coaching program as well, and she was saying that even if you just help just one person, just think that's still a whole person's life you've changed. That's one whole person you've helped. So that's kind of just
Honestly, it's massive. Is in the coming back to gratitude, what you feel when you get those emails, and I've been fortunate enough to have a few now, where you've really impacted someone at their absolute core and changed the trajectory of, their life or a big decision within it. And they've gone on to do, great things and really change things around. That's priceless, mate. So you keep doing it. And I guarantee you will get those. You'll start getting those comments. You'll start getting those messages, and it just makes the whole thing worthwhile. And what better thing than to change one entire human's existence on this planet? It's massive.
You've changed my existence.
Likewise. Well, you know what, you played a part in mine as well, because if it wasn't people like you getting involved with the community, it wouldn't be what it is. So it's not like the Ross show where it's like, oh, I can do it all on my own. If people don't get involved and don't be part of the community, it's pointless. So yeah, appreciate you being a part of it, mate.
Okay, yeah, I think so I think we probably do have to finish up now, but I honestly don't know what to say, because you have your catchphrase, but I don't really have one on here yet.
Well, let's make you one.
Okay, well, I usually just sign off by saying, I love you guys, stay safe, but...
Well, that's good. Okay. You could have that. I'll join in with you if you want, mate. Well, I always get everyone to join in mine at the end of the show.
Okay, we'll harmonise.
What am I saying?
Love you, stay safe.
Nice. Right, we'll give us a little countdown, and we'll have it.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1.
Love you. Stay safe.
Nice.
See?
Here's